Hey guys, I'm here in the offer wall, and as I kind of mentioned before, for free to play players, one way to try to get every unit is to just make another account and basically get free visior on the other account and just reroll until you get the character and sort of have them off your account. Now, there is another way to get more visior for free as a free to play player. Granted, it does take some work. And I am talking about the offer wall. Unfortunately, I think this is best for Android phone owners and phone and tablet owners. iOS, it's a little bit harder. It's possible, but it's a little bit harder. Right now, I'm on Bluestacks, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Since myself, I am an iOS user, as you guys may know from my previous video, uh, I, iOS doesn't really give as many offers as Android, and that's simply because iOS doesn't necessarily allow apps to access other apps' data, and therefore the the game cannot track how long you've played another app or anything like that that's required for a lot of these offer wall offers. However, there are some offers on iOS, but they're not necessarily free. Sometimes you gotta pay for stuff, and it might be a deal if it's something you want, but most of the time it's not something you want. So, as iOS users, we are basically forced to come here to Bluestacks or another emulator and try to earn free visior this way. Now, in the past, I do definitely remember earning some visior from the offer wall, and that was right before as I was saving up for the Final Fantasy Tactics Part 2 event. And I believe I kind of came back to it a little bit in for Final Fantasy 4, like maybe a little bit before. However, it playing on BlueStacks is just very like there's a pretty good chance that even though you play the game and you accomplish all the goals, that you will not actually get your reward. And for some, there's just something in BlueStacks that just doesn't allow you to get your reward. I don't know if maybe it's just I've tried different things. For work I use a VPN, and I've tried disabling that. Um, I've tried to take care not to play War of the Visions while I'm playing one of these games on BlueStacks, not to play on my phone, which I kind of do that just because it's like you want to keep grinding. Um, and then, I just think that there's something in BlueStacks that doesn't necessarily keep track of two games at once very well, and for some reason it doesn't work. And so the thing is, it kind of does work sometimes, and I find that basically the longer the goal is for the offer reward, the worst chance you have of it working. The best chance of it working for me has been when when it's something that you can accomplish in like maybe 3 or 4 days max. But if it takes longer than a week or so, it usually doesn't work. Now, let me go into my in progress tab so you can see what I'm talking about here a little bit. So, as an example, Cash App. Cash App is something that actually worked on iOS, so that was good. It's an app where you could just transfer money to people, kind of like Venmo. So I was like, I probably wanted this app anyway, so I kind of just downloaded it and I got my 225 visior. Another thing I kind of wanted to mention is I don't know what really happened to my other games that I've completed here. They kind of just disappeared. But as you can see here, one of the games I played was Kim Kardashian Hollywood. And one of the observations I've made is if it's a very legit game or company, then it will probably work. Granted, I usually still stick to like the stuff that's gonna take like maybe a few days, and you can usually tell if you get like 200 to 300 visior from it, it's gonna take you a few days, maybe 3 to 4 days. If it's over 1,000, it might be a week. If it's close to 2,000, it might be 2 weeks. So what I try to do is I try to stick to the really low 200 to 300 or even less, as I'm about to show you in a little bit. So let me actually close this out and open my next slide here. So here are a bunch of games that didn't work for me. So starting at the top, those first three, they're kind of weird. Well, actually, yes, all three of them, they're kind of weird because they're apps that sort of require you to download an app from within the app and then just play the other app for like 30 minutes and then come back to that app and then come back to War of the Vision. So right there, there's just too much going on. And whatever issue that Bluestacks has between reading different apps data, it just gets compounded here. So it becomes even harder for you to do these types of missions. And actually, as I kind of mentioned before, the more legit games, like this fourth one here, it's actually Yahtzee, which is like the official Yahtzee app. That one did pay off. I'm not sure why I entirely have it here, but that one definitely paid off. That was 720 viz. And so other games that I kind of consider legit were a game called Disney Emoji Blitz, Scrabble, Words with Friends, kind of like these more reputable companies that you kind of know of, that you probably played the game in the past before. Those tend to have worked for me. And at the bottom here, you can see CoinDozer. To me, that's a very good app. Very fun game, to be honest. But unfortunately, the only reward that it gave was for logging into the app, which was only 7 visiore. So that could have been a lot better. And so there's another one at the bottom there, Board Kings, another fairly simple game. I forgot exactly how much that gave me, but I have a very good memory of that game working. So now, here is another slide, and this actually contains more games that didn't end up working. And, Tales of Wind, that's kind of like an MMORPG. That kind of took me like more than a week, I guess. I mean, it was kind of fun, but once you hit that more than a week point, oops, sorry about that. Once you hit more than that more than a week point, it just doesn't really work that well on Bluestacks. Rise of the Kingdoms, again, a fairly simple game. More than a week it took me. This dragon game was kind of bad. I think actually it took me less than a week. So this is an example of a game. Maybe it took me like 5 or 6 days, but that's an example of a game that didn't work. This game, it was like this weird solitaire game. Oh my God, that game was awful because there was like this time limit and it was like really, really limited on how much you're allowed to play. So that didn't end up working, and I was like super, super mad about that. But if you stick with, you do get lucky sometimes, and like these brand name games, games that aren't like brand name, they do work. So usually they tend to be like the really, really short games. So that's kind of what I wanted to mention. And also, aside from like what I'm talking about here, there's another video by a YouTuber called Theultimatechi. I'm sure some of you guys have seen his videos. I'm going to try to link it in the description. He kind of goes over the games. This is mostly for Android, I think, at this point. He kind of goes over a lot of games that, they take a week or two, but they kind of pay off like royally. He basically, kind of like what I said here, he talks about certain games that are just better. And I think he mentions city builders, but he also has he breaks down like what games take like, you just have to log in once or twice a day, stuff like that. I definitely recommend checking out his video because this is an opportunity for you to make like free, quote unquote free visiore. You do have to work for it, so it's not really free. But what I find is, when you pay money in this game, you don't really get that much viz out of it. But if you were to spend like a few days playing these games, you can get up to like 3 or 4 or 500 viz fairly easily. And that in terms of like value of money buying free viz in the game, that's actually pretty decent. Like you're probably saving like $10, $20, $30 just by getting this viz for free. And of course, it's a way to get the stuff without you having to pay. So for you people that don't have like jobs or stuff like that, you have more free time than money. I think this is a way for you to do it. And like I said, I'm gonna link his video. Definitely go watch his video because he goes super in depth into like the games that he played, and it kind of inspires you because he has made so much viz off of these games that it can really go to show you how much viz you can make. And when it comes to like these anniversaries, Final Fantasy X, and like I said, I played for FFT2 and FF4. It's a good way for you to just like build up a good reserve of viz as you're approaching one of these events. So, or collaborations, if you will. So, last thing I kind of wanted to show you was a random screenshot that I have of when I did. I think this was at the time of FFT2. I can't really tell from the background of the image here. It looks like there's a raid going on the top left there, but I really can't tell when this was. Oh, actually, that's the date, 8/7/20. So I think that was before FFT2. So yeah, this screenshot was taken within Bluestacks, and as you can see, I'm an iOS user, and I was able to scrounge up a little bit of visiore. I did make more than this for sure, because I remember playing a lot of games up until the time that FFT2 came up, because I really wanted to 100% make sure I got the Lita. And even though I thought it took me a lot of viz to get the Lita, I ended up getting Agrius and Mustadio. And then I tried to get Sid, Orlando, and I actually couldn't pull him, but I did have Fizz, and honestly, I probably should have gone harder on Orlando, and then just kind of built up his shards over time. But that's another story. Of course, I have to wait for him to come back, Ramza as well. So we'll see what happens with that. But like, let's say another character is Warrior of Light. Let's say I did want to get those people as I'm saving for the Final Fantasy VII event. Definitely the offer wall is a way to supplement the amount of visiore that I have. So just kind of wanted to point that out to you guys. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the game, and let me turn the volume back up. And I'll just do whatever ticket summon I have. I think I might only have one because I spent most of them on yesterday's video. There's no free stuff here, and I'm not really going to spend any visiore right now. Sadly, this is only a 2-time summon, so let's see what we get. So yeah, I hope you guys kind of at least try the offer wall, especially if you have an Android phone, and if you have enough space. If you don't have space, maybe you don't really want to mess around with this stuff. And then the only other thing too is, how do you, let's see what we got here. Okay, so it's nothing. So how do you want to divide up your time? Would you rather, spend time doing the offer wall games, or would you rather spend your time still within War of the Visions but on another account, so that you can use whatever unit you can't really pull on your main account? So that's kind of just something to think about, and it's something I wanted to just kind of mention and throw out there. But even with my janky experience of like not getting rewards, and trust me, I complained to customer service and they just couldn't help me because something in Bluestacks just doesn't show through on their side, so they couldn't help me. But even with the troubles I did have, I still thought it was very worth it to get some of that free viz that I did manage to get. Even though there was a lot of games that I played for basically no reason. Alright guys, so that's going to be it for this video. I hope to have some other subjects to talk about soon. So just, I guess, stay tuned for that. And I will catch you guys next time. Take care. Adios, amigos.